All right, guys. So in today's video, we're going to go over what the Vikings have done so far through the first 2 days of free agency. I expected the Vikings to make a ton of moves. They let Sam Darnold walk, so that way they could utilize JJ McCarthy's rookie contract. They re-signed Byron Murphy Jr. yesterday. I wasn't sure if they had because he ended up being re-signed late last night. They ended up bringing in Ryan Kelly, who played for my Colts at center, so I can definitely tell you guys a lot about him. Will Fries, our guard, who got hurt midway, not really midway through the season. It was week 5, and then he was our starting guard the previous games, and then all of last season. He's very good, especially in the run. Big dude, about 6'6", like 350 plus. So the Vikings are just taking all of our linemen. They're getting some good ones though. The weaknesses for Minnesota coming into the offseason was the interior guard. I don't exactly remember who even was playing guard for the Vikings. Was it Ed Ingram and Dalton Reisner, I believe? They're just not very good. One sort of kind of replaced the other. And then you had Bradbury at center. It was a mess. Yes, left tackle, right tackle are phenomenal for the Vikings, as good as it gets in this league in terms of that 1-2 punch. But there just wasn't enough, especially with JJ McCarthy, who I'm calling him a rookie because he didn't play last year. So you have a rookie quarterback. You want to keep him protected. You re-sign Aaron Jones, who was good at picking up blitzes, also had a very good year running the ball. Not explosive, though. That's my one knock against Aaron Jones. He is like 31 years old. So it's kind of expected that he's not going to have the juice he once did, but he does everything else. I thought he was great for the Vikings. He was a big time pickup for them. Of course, Will Fries is going to play guard. The Vikings also went out and they got Jonathan Allen, who was a free agent coming over from Washington, big time player. I think that's a game changing type of move. I said that in my video yesterday that if Jonathan Allen, after his visit, does sign with the Vikings, I think that could put them over the top. You have to realize that Byron Murphy being back, this defense looks phenomenal. Theo Jackson was re-signed. You got Andrew Van Ginkel and Dallas Turner coming off of the edge. You now have, of course, Jonathan Allen. There's Jonathan Grenard, Jerry Tillery, right? There's a lot of good players, a lot of depth on this defensive line. All of a sudden, the secondary is going to be my thing. Harrison Smith, what's his story? Shaq Griffin, of course, Isaiah Rodgers was picked up. If this secondary can just continue to do what it did last year and improve a little bit, I see Ambry Thomas is here. When was he picked up? I don't know, but I actually like Ambry Thomas a lot. I'd have to look into when he even joined the Vikings. I don't know everything about this team. My bad as a Colts fan. I just like to talk Vikings. The defense was so good last season. It's just the offense sort of became a little bit too predictable and stale towards the end of the year. The Vikings' only losses, of course, were against the Rams and the Lions, so they've got to figure that out. But you want to put as much talent around your young franchise quarterback as possible. Josh Allen just signed for like $330 million. As soon as your quarterbacks hit the open market and get paid, it's hard to keep players around them. The Bengals, they had to pay Jamar Chase, and Trey Hendrickson, and they decided to let Hendrickson seek a trade. So the Vikings, they've got to get one now. And that's exactly why they're in a great spot, because they have some of the most talented players in the league. They've got Kevin O'Connell as their head coach. It's just a matter of how can we sort of maximize that, and that's where JJ McCarthy comes in. I thought he had a good camp. I liked him at Michigan. I think he's a big-time player. I think he's clutch. He's just very disciplined, mature for a quarterback who's only 21. I'm being honest, I'm excited about JJ McCarthy. I know a lot of Vikings fans did not want Sam Darnold back, and a little bit disappointing given that he had a great year and he just fit in with the culture in the locker room. But at the end of the day, it's a business, and Vikings fans know that better than anyone, that they had to do what was best for the interest of the team to sort of be competitive everywhere. If they had paid Darnold $100 million, they're not re-signing Murphy. They're not bringing Jonathan Allen. They're not getting their new center and their new guard. Like, that just was never going to happen. And the Vikings have spent a lot of money over the last 12 hours, and I'm glad too. They're not messing around. They realize that the Lions are in our division. They're probably going to be the favorites next season for not only the Eagles. I wouldn't be shocked if the Lions are favored to win the Super Bowl. I really wouldn't at all. I think if the Lions had been healthy, they would have won the Super Bowl. As much as I do like the Vikings, like, the Lions just are really good. The Packers, the Bears are going to get better. Eventually, the Bears have to figure it out, right? They got the OC from Ben Johnson. He was the most sought after coach on the open market. So it's only going to get more tough. And the Vikings, the moves they've made have me very, very encouraged. I mean, this is a massive, monster type of offseason following a season where they went 14-3 and had to go on the road to start the playoffs because of the Lions. But just looking at these weapons, I mean, Justin Jefferson, it doesn't matter who's throwing him the football. He's going to get his numbers. He's going to get his. He said that to the media too. when you spoke to them. Jordan Addison, T.J. Hawkinson. I actually like Jalen Naylor. Even like Brandon Powell. I like these sort of depth receivers. They can go out there and make plays. Trent Sherfield Sr. is a veteran. And then you got Cam behind Aaron Jones. I think just him having that full year with the Vikings, he's got a lot of explosiveness too. I'm excited about that. Ty Chandler's a really good third running back too. This is just a loaded offense. I mean, you look at the offensive line. Christian Darrisaw is as good as it gets at left tackle. Brian O'Neill at right tackle is very good. Fries, very good. Ryan Kelly, of course, is good. And then right guard is going to be kind of the thing. I have heard that the Vikings are still looking to get another quarterback behind J.J. McCarthy, and they're also looking for another guard. I just find it hard to believe that Dalton Risner at Ingram would be a starting guard like next season. I just don't see that happening. Now, money's going to be tight, but they can definitely make it work. And you just look at Risner, like he kind of filled in for Ingram and was okay, but he's not like a starting caliber guard in the NFL. But just Minnesota, it's so disappointing because they always have these good teams that perform in the regular season, and then come playoff time, they kind of disappear. So the question is just going to be, how can they actually seal the deal this time around? And I think the key to that, it's just going to be like JJ McCarthy. Like, I know it's easy to be like, oh, the quarterback, but I'm not putting it on Sam Darnold, because I think Darnold gets a lot of unnecessary hate for how he played in the final couple of games. I think it was just out coaching. It doesn't make sense like grammatically, but I'm not saying Kevin O'Connell necessarily got out coached, but I just think that the entire Vikings staff was a little bit just flat out beat, bro. Like, it was the players, it was the coaches. The Rams and the Lions were just better teams. So now they've got to figure that out, but they've got a lot of time. But JJ McCarthy, I mean, he was a winner at Michigan. He had a lot of talent around him, and that's how you win in the NFL. It's you have a good quarterback with a lot of talent around him. Like, the Texans have had a monster offseason. The Eagles have re-signed a lot of their guys. They lost some depth on defense, but you have to have the right pieces. And the Vikings, that's why they're in such a favorable spot, is because of how much talent they have. And now it's just, can JJ McCarthy replicate what Sam Darnold did, and then some too. And this guy is only 22 years old, man. He turned 22 in January. So I think I said he was 21 earlier, but he just turned 22. So he's got a lot of years ahead of him. Darnold and Daniel Jones left in free agency to go be potential starters. Darnold obviously is, and then Jones is going to compete for the Colts job. But I like the Vikings a lot more now than I did last season because of all these pieces, but I still don't know if they'll be as good as last year because of how well Darnold played. Everyone's just going to think about the final two games, and I get it. But Sam Darnold played like an MVP for 90% of the season. So if McCarthy can just be who they drafted him to be, then I think they'll be in a good spot. But Kevin O'Connell, I mean, he played quarterback. He's as smart as it gets. Of course, came over from the Rams, Sean McVay type of tree. So you look at like Sean Payton too, when he drafted Bo Nix, that was his guy. McCarthy ended up being O'Connell's guy. I think O'Connell's going to be really good. Or McCarthy's going to be really good. Kevin O'Connell playing quarterback. It's going to be fun too. And McCarthy adds a lot that Darnold couldn't to the offense. Like, McCarthy's a very good athlete. Not that Darnold isn't. Like, Darnold's kind of quick and big arm, but McCarthy, the way he moves, especially just out in the open field, it's going to be a lot of fun. And O'Connell's going to be able to call things differently than he wasn't able to last year, especially even more than McCarthy, but the offensive line. When you have a better offensive line, you can do more with your playbook and your schemes and your personnel, right? Your formation. So it's going to be a lot of fun. I don't think the Vikings will win 14 games again, but I think come playoff time, they'll be way more prepared to be able to compete with the top dogs. But I'm out, guys. Also, subscribe to Daily Vikings too.